So our next guest, who we have already met, is Anup Singh. Anup Singh is the founder of dLife. So the journey of dLife really started in 2014, when even prior to that, um, when Anup was diagnosed with diabetes in 2011, and he refused to go down the beaten path. And that was when he had dived into research, and he came up with the idea of adopting low carb dietary lifestyle, which can bring the diabetes into remission. So dLife was launched in 2014 by Anup, and that is the first India's first, oldest, and the only award-winning low carb platform. In terms of resources, the scale of the resources that we have on dLife, it's the biggest in the world. In terms of the course that dLife has, which deals with therapeutic carbohydrate restriction and metabolic syndromes. The course is the biggest in the world. We have been CPD accredited with 60 hours credit. Welcome, Anup. Welcome to this session, and let's get talking.
Yeah.
From 2000, I almost introduced you and shared half the story. It's very inspiring. But going back from 2014, when you started dLife to now, how did you launch dLife in your own words? Let us know, our audiences.
So 2011, this is quite well known now, but I'll repeat it. 2011,
Mm,
14th Feb, I was
mm,
formally detected diabetic. Now,
mm,
for roughly around 2 years, 2.5 years, I was experimenting with low carb different shades because
mm,
there was no concept of low carb in India. And whatever, practitioners or experts were there, they were primarily rehashing low carb is equal to keto concept and repeatedly failing. So it was very clear, that the Western concept of by default low carb means keto is not going to work in India because India's per capita protein consumption is pretty abysmal if we compare to, the Western world, where it is 140 kg, and in India, I think it's barely around 4 or 5 kg animal protein consumption.
mm,
Now, and the diversity of diet, as you know, in the opening session, Dr. Roshni mentioned that you cannot give a Bengali diet to a Gujarati and a Gujarati diet to a, somebody in Jammu. So
mm,
diversity is such that we had to come up with a model where their local, recipes they can tweak, and it is applicable pan-India, not to south, east to west, without any, labeling it as Kerala LCHF or Jammu LCHF. Now, to
mm,
this effect, I would say, before that, as I said in the opening statement, opening session also, I realized that it's not going to come from work on top-down model, not at all. There's too
mm,
much of a resistance, so it has to be bottom-up, approach. Now, bottom-up approach also needed something which is workable because people are very, very quick to reject anything without even
mm,
trying. So therein, this 100 grams carbohydrate per day model comes in. Now, that is primarily decided by the liver's glycogen holding capacity. Now, when that is fixed, I would say, I had called it 20-20-60 when I started interacting on international forums to begin with in 2012. And thereafter, there was one forum where Indians were there. There I started talking about 100 grams carb is the limit every day. Now, within 100 grams carb, you can easily manage, all zones of India, right from north to south, east to west. All you have to do is
mm,
play around, tweak your recipes, and it's basis on base of that, we have. I'll quote the numbers down the line. So with bottom-up approach, I would say I started dlife.in in,
mm,
and it was launched in on 21st of August 2014. And as I said, there was a lot of opposition to it. But yes, since we wanted the word to spread free, we operated that free for around 3.5 years. By then, we had number of success stories. So it was a time when we had to, expand it to a larger scale. And 2018, we moved to paid model. Then 2020, I think, yeah, 2019, we started thinking about the course. Now, 2020 April, it was launched, and unfortunately, COVID struck. So for 2 years almost, we had not much traction as such because everything was down. But in last 2 years, I think we've done pretty well. And the most
We'll come to the
encouraging.
course part later.
Okay,
Sorry, we'll
okay.
come to the course part later. But I wanted to ask about, when you launched dLife against, it was kind of a blank canvas, and there was no kind of milestones or nothing to guide you. And still, you went ahead with your conviction and science that low carb is the way when people did not have an idea. And as you said, most were rehashing the Western model of beef, bacon, eggs. And India being a vegetarian country, it was difficult to replicate that. And therein came your 100-gram carbs. So we'll talk about this a bit later. But what is the uniqueness of dLife, Anup? Why had such a platform never been thought of in India before you came onto the horizon? And that was when diabetes struck you. There's nothing even now in India of the grandeur and scale of dLife. I mean, when it comes to low carb resources, it is just dLife. And it's not just in India, but I think it's been validated by the global giants of low carb. Why do you think there's such a void in India besides dLife? Why is there nothing in low carb in terms of how to deal with metabolic syndromes?
You know, to do something different, you need conviction, and you need a big amount of courage. Because first thing that people are scared of is failure, right? I wasn't scared of failure because I knew I was on right path. So I said to myself, let's give it a try. We'll see what happens, and we'll evolve. We had no plans. We will evolve as we face the situation in real time. So this question was asked, I think, in 2021 by Outlook also. Why there is no one, and what if many more come?
Mm,
So my answer to that was why there was no one, because again, to run a operation of this scale, it is not done in $5 per month. Let me be very honest.
mm,
It is not done in
mm,
$5 per month, GoDaddy, GoMama hosting. You need a dedicated server to begin with, right? Then you need all the custom built software and everything in place so that once it is set up, it almost runs on autopilot, in the sense that you don't have to spend money on administering the site. You spend all your resources on providing support on the site to whoever is coming. So since money is involved, nobody wants to do it,
mm, mm.
honestly, right? And
Yeah.
the saddest part is, since it is not going to be a top-down model, even Government of India won't do it, ICMR won't do it, nobody will do it. It has to be a citizen's approach, and that's what the model is all about. And as you said, brick by brick, we built the entire structure that we have now. So roughly around 2000 plus must be the recipes, all Indian. None of them
Mm,
rehashed, all posted by members. And when I say all posted by members, they have tasted and tested it. It's not just, some YouTube video taken and rehashed and, post something, whatever comes to mind. Plus, as far as success stories are concerned, before we, branched out to army of coaches, the total that time I think must be around 250. But now if we consider all, success stories, it will be well over 3000, which is a conservative figure I'm saying. We are not trying to boast. So yes, and in future, will they come? I would, love to see them come up, but with a good intent, not as a, that we have to compete with somebody. Yes, please do come compete. We are happy to compete, but it'll take time to rise
mm,
up to
mm,
our level of operations. It'll take time.
mm. Anup, a lot of nowadays we see a lot of claim to 100-gram carbs per day, on a low carb diet. But back then, when you stated it, especially in the Indian context, there was nobody talking about 100-gram carbs. And the Western model of keto was not applicable on the Indian spectrum. So tell us, when you pioneered this template of 100-gram carbs per day on an Indian vegetarian diet for diabetes remission, what does this mean actually? And the significance of 100-gram carbs? Why not 90, 110? A lot of people do know that, but I want you to answer that. Why is this unique in the context of India, especially? And why do we say Indian low carb?
Yeah, Indian low carb, because Indians are primarily carbohydrate driven, and they find it very difficult to give up the addiction, I would say. In hindsight, I would call it addiction, not a diet. And why did anybody did not come up? Because everybody was copying the Western model of low carb means keto. Forget about
Mhm.
everybody. When I started talking on some community library or something, I don't know. I specifically mentioned I'm on a 100 gram carbohydrate diet as a diabetic. I think it was around 1.5 years after I was already into it. Now one very big endo comes in. I've got 40 years experience. You will land in DKA, diabetic ketoacidosis. Imagine on 100 grams carbohydrate, a type 2 diabetic, I don't know by which science he can land into DKA. So that is
Yes.
one point. And then, yes, scaremongering like this, keto means ketoacidosis. They don't know the difference. They cannot differentiate between DKA, NK, SK. You have starvation ketosis, nutritional ketosis, and diabetic DKA, which is primarily a type 1 phenomenon. Type 2,
Mm,
yes, it can happen. So as far as coming up with 100, yes, it needs, when you do something remarkable, you have to apply your brain. You cannot just copy. There are two ways to do a thing, which I said in my Outlook interview also. Either you copy or you create your own template. Now,
mm,
copying, it already proved to be a failure. It already proved to be a failure because low carb is equal to keto. Did not work.
mm,
Since we separated the two. Keto is a subdomain of low carb, but low carb is not keto. Keto is low carb, right? So we had to fix a number till what number it is 100. I mean,
mm,
low carb. So what we had to, give justification for telling numbers, because we just can't pull out a number out of, nowhere and say stick to it.
mm,
My justification was based on liver's glycogen holding capacity primarily.
mm,
And now with that, I mean, if you see, they have not started talking about it from 2015. They're talking now, let's say last 2 years, maybe 3 years max, more so after we launched the course,
mm.
right? You'll find everybody saying, 100 grams carbohydrate. Now we find somebody saying 100 grams target, 100 grams protein. Now, if you look
I
at
was going to ask
2020,
the same question to you. Yes, I was in continuation to that 100-gram carbs. I mean, I myself have seen a lot of coaches who are, not coaches, but who are not certified, actually, not even certified, talking about 100-gram carbs. So where does that come from? Because keto is not, the way keto is understood in the Western world is not applicable to India. So what is the basis of that 100 grams? Where is that coming from? Of late,
yes.
of also the 100 grams protein, which you had talked about even way before I think dLife was launched. Please explain to our viewers who want to understand from the horse's mouth, where did it all come from? As we always say, you're the big daddy of low carb. So let it come from the big daddy of low carb.
See, 100 grams carb online world. I think I had tweeted sometime back. First mention of 100 grams carbohydrate, even on a Western forum, where you have all Top Guns also, some Top Guns also
Mm,
there. It was on a Western forum, February 14th or 15th, 2012.
yes.
I had mentioned specifically living on a approximate 100 grams carb diet. Till then, I did not find anywhere on any community, talk of 100 grams. Everywhere it was 30 grams, 40 grams max.
Mm,
So as the popularity picked up, or I would say as the success story started building, it is very
mm,
convenient to, again, either you copy or you create your own template. So the run-of-the-mill coaches, I would call them the run-of-the-mill because every night they change their stance. They found it very convenient to, pick up something which is becoming popular, which was 100 grams carb. Now, back then also, I was not talking in grams of everything. I used to say 20, 20, 60, 100 grams carb. Now, if you calculate over calorie intake of 2000, the protein becomes 100 grams, right? Now I see even Samberry coaches talking of protein. Did you target 100 grams? Where did it come from? I don't know. But they got it.
Yeah, so what would you say to people who are kind of, now it's become kind of every person is talking about 100-gram carbs and limiting 100 grams carbs and increasing the protein uptake to 100 grams. So what do you think? I mean, who should people trust?
Well, people are trusting more or less, you can say, the data that we have been able to show from 2014 onwards. Now, as far as trusting goes, I think, somewhere down the line, affordability also comes into play. If somebody is doing it, giving an advice for 2000 rupees for one call, it's okay for them to pay
Yeah,
2000,
that's
get everything.
precisely my question. I mean, every second person is talking about low carb diet. I want to
Yeah.
understand from you, how are they talking about low carb diet? Where does that knowledge come from if they are in India? Kindly explain this to our viewers so that they know who to go to or who to trust.
That knowledge only comes from dLife.in. Let me be very upfront. Nobody talked in India. As I said, they were all rehashing Western model and failing repeatedly, barring, on a very small population where possibly the meat eaters were there. Otherwise, it was outright failure right from word go. Either people did not adopt or adapt, or they outright
Hmm.
rejected it. At least we came to a stage where people started listening in 2014,
Hmm.
right? And then from 2014 onwards, till date, the success stories speak for themselves. The
Hmm.
numbers.
Hmm.
Yes, we don't have the funding, to publish the data. We don't have the funding,
Hmm.
mainstream can spend $100 million to in 10 or 12 years just to prove that eat less and move more works. But, fag end of the study, they find it's all crap. They
Hmm.
just burn $100 million for nothing.
Hmm.
Yes, the day
So
somebody funds us,
let
we'll get
me
the data also.
yeah. So let me just extend this question to the course. Maybe then this question would be a bit more clearer and relevant. Talking about the course, dLife Diploma course, Anup, that is now the world's biggest course in terms of CPD accreditation of 60 hours credit. We are the biggest low carb nutrition and metabolic health course in the world. Um, Tell us about the course. When was it launched, and why and how did you again envision this course when the world was dealing with the effects of COVID? Like, you created something as big as dLife, or as uh, unique as dLife. There were no milestones, there were no indications of where to go. You created dLife. And even now, when there's no course on low carb nutrition and metabolic health, you created this course in 2020. Please tell us about your vision. How did you think ahead? Because this is such a futuristic thought, and we are now reaping the benefits of such a course. So tell us the journey.
I think it was somewhere around 2019, December or so, round about that period.
Hmm.
ADA was headed by Tracy Brown.
Hmm.
Tracy Brown, and at core, she's an engineer, right?
Hmm.
So when she came up as chairperson, she got low carb and very low carb included in their MNT, which no
Hmm.
doctor refers to because primarily they go by guidelines, and guidelines are crap. Now, once that happened, then we found, that legally now we can start talking. Because before that, if we had done, it would have been just, a compilation of whatever data or anything. But once it was included in MNT of ADA and subsequently other associations, then we seriously thought that with Indian perspective again, right, we should have something which works for India.
Mm.
So I think in next few months, we were all busy drafting the content, getting things up. And April 2020, we launched the course. And that was the time, round about same time, COVID struck. So we were just, I mean, there was not much traction to it. Though we were talking about the course, there were few enrollments. But from last 2 years, primarily last year, the traction has been great. And the most encouraging part is that 19 doctors have enrolled.
Mm.
Now,
Mm.
that's a big
I
win
was just,
for,
yeah,
yeah.
I was just going to ask you this. Who are the people who are now enrolling and learning low carb with you, which is, I think, India's biggest course. I mean, it's the only course which is legally attainable. If you have to
Yeah,
study low carb nutrition and metabolic health, we are the
yeah.
only legally attainable course in India. So, why do you think? What are the people who are enrolling with you? Why are doctors enrolling with you to learn low carb and metabolic health? How is this benefiting doctors? Because doctors know everything.
Now, to the last question, I think we have a guest, very, I would say a famous guest who would be coming. So his, talk should be an eye opener to all the doctors. I'm not excluding anybody from that list. All the doctors across India, given the fact that the data that Shashi talked of in the previous session of how they themselves are ill, that is also important. Now, who all are enrolling? The
No,
demographics is
I
pretty.
just wanted to interject. Are you saying that doctors are not taught nutrition?
Everybody knows it. It's an open secret. Answer is no. Either they self-learn or they learn it through their patients like Dr. David Unwin, and they are gracious enough to accept that they were wrong, right? Or they go through what we talk and go through it in form of a course. So the demographics of enrollee, that was one thing you had asked. It varies from engineers, banking professionals, uh, PhDs, right? And most important, I would say, is doctors. When 19 doctors have enrolled, that's our first stepping stone to success, because at least we have made a dent in that big, segment where there are people who understand that lifestyle diseases cannot be cured or handled through medicines alone.
Mm. Okay.
So we are looking forward to
Anup, tell.
more
Huh,
and more. We are
please.
looking forward to more and more doctors coming in. And this year, from January till now, 8 doctors have enrolled.
That's that's a that's a very big figure.
Yes,
Anup, also tell us, you have many number of IITians with you, the defense personals with you.
yes.
Who are the people who aspire to do something in the field of nutrition or health or low carb? Who are the people who can really kind of explore dLife diploma course?
See, anybody, as the data, Dr. Roshni already talked of the scaring data that's, staring back at us. So the
Hmm.
market is too huge. I don't think even doctors can handle it if it was to blow up into that proportion. So that's where, the lifestyle approach comes in.
Hmm.
Now, who all can do? Yes, we have defense personnel also, as you mentioned rightly, 2 nursing staff, right? Four or five.
IITians. You yourself are an IITian, Anup.
Yeah, I'm an IITN, plus there are a few other IITNs also.
Yeah, quite a
Yeah.
yeah.
So everybody understands now that this is one area where to talk of, I would say, the possibilities of having a career in this, right? And on top of it, being self-employed. You work for yourself from home primarily, and you deliver the results. So they are the people who are basically, coming in. And the youngest one to enroll, I think, is around 22 or 21. I don't remember his
Mm.
age, exact age. So the demographics is pretty wide. Demographics by profession is pretty wide. There's no restriction.
Mm. How do you see the scope of this course in the sense of the market, that you're looking at? I mean, will too many coaches affect the market?
See, if it is diabetes alone, diabetes
Mm.
plus pre-diabetes, 200 million, right? Now, even if you take 1% of it, that's 2 million. Now, how many coaches do you think would be needed to really penetrate into the 2 million market segment? That's
Mm.
huge.
Mm. Okay, let's talk about the milestones that you've achieved in terms of the dLife diploma course since you launched the course. So, talking about from the time period of 2023 mainly, um, tell us how has the course gone for you? The milestones that we have achieved.
Well, milestones, whatever we had in mind, whether the
Mm.
course picked up during initial 2 years or not, we did it. We had our first revision of course was done, I think, in 2022, where we added roughly 20% new content, though it
Mm.
was not having the traction that was expected to be there, right? That was milestone number one. Number two, post this conference somewhere around second half, there's a major upgrade coming again to the content. So we'll keep updating the content. And as you know, I think Dilip said in the opening session that it's not just one-off course where you come in, you read a few, download few files, get a certificate, and then move on. No, the content would be upgraded, updated, upgraded, and updated regularly. And anybody who has enrolled, they don't pay anything extra to the updated content. They have access. They can very well come in and go through the added topics or updated topics anytime.
Mm.
And the milestone, well, yes, then we added 2 certificate courses also, but primarily it is the diploma course that has picked up. And
Mm.
CPD accreditation was again this year in January, roughly. So we are the first in India. As it is, we are first in India in the segment, whether you call it the community course. So obviously, we are the first in this segment to get that CPDSO accreditation. Then
Mm.
anybody wanting to be an SMHP accredited metabolic health coach through SMHP US, the 60 hours will count towards their requirement of 120 hours of credit to apply for a non-clinician, right? So these are the things. So I would say the next milestone, well, I'm not going to talk about it right now. That would happen sometime, whenever the time is right.
Okay, so let me, for those who want to understand the course, let me summarize this for them. And please correct me if I am wrong. What you're saying is that we are the biggest low carb course in India, low carb nutrition and metabolic health with CPD accreditation of 60 hours,
Yes.
SMHP accredited, self-paced, or the only legally tenable course in India
Yes.
with dual certification. One is Indian, one is international. And coming from the single India's biggest low carb platform, dLife.in, I think we are now the biggest course in terms of low carb nutrition and metabolic health also in the world.
Yes. Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes. And we
To,
want
to
to
those
retain
who
the
want to,
spot.
yeah,
Yeah.
yes. Uh, I'm sure you would. But to people who want to understand what is CPD, Anup, can you just briefly give an idea of what CPD accreditation means?
Well, it means basically CPD accreditation is recognized in 40 countries internationally.
Mm-hmm.
So, as somebody who has done a course, done the course from India, our course, and they are looking at clients overseas, there are many clients who are going to value this accreditation because
Mm.
across UK, Europe, everywhere it is well known what CPD is. India, it might
Mm.
just be picking up, I don't know. But
Mm.
that way, the exposure to international clients the
mm,
chances are high,
mm,
right? And then getting that SMHP badge, that becomes easier. Again, you are going to be addressing primarily Indian diaspora, so the Indian context has also to be there in the course,
mm,
wherein the diet, how to handle that, which we already talked.
mm. So, how do you see the course going forward in the next 5 years, Anu, in terms of
5 years,
numbers as well as
yeah,
adding things value to the course? I mean, how are you looking at the entire spectrum now?
yeah. One revision is due this year, right? Course content revision is due this year, which will be around, I am contemplating around 10% new content added. Now, then as far as, the traction in terms of enrollments, yes, slow and steady, it will pick up because, getting first 10 is, I mean, I would say difficult rather than getting the next 10. So right now we are at a stage of 100 plus. I would not quote the exact number, but it's going pretty stable. I would like to see, maybe around 200 enrollments per year.
Mm,
That would be a place where I would like to be calling it a successful venture as far as the course is
mm,
concerned.
mm, mm. Do you see a competition emerging in this segment in the coming future for you? Um, you're the first uh, diploma course in India, which is legally attainable, and low-carb nutrition with regards to metabolic health. Do you see any competition coming up?
Well, if you just talk of course, because people have to understand it's not just the course, but it's a bundling of course along with the community that makes us
Mm,
very unique, and it makes it very difficult for any new entrant to emulate it. Course content,
mm,
yes, they might be able to do it, but what about the content that we have, given access to of the community, where you have
mm,
post-completion support, you have access to 2000 plus recipes, you have access to around about 250 documented success stories, where you can refer to cases, how it is to be handled. So all these
mm,
things, once anybody is able to invest the amount of time and money that has gone into it, then yes, they can come as a competitor, welcome.
mm. Given that it's a self-paced course and self-study, course, Anu, tell us when a person joins, how does he approach the course? I mean, is it online? What is the support that he gets? And how much time is he supposed or she's supposed to complete the course? And tell us about the certification. I mean, this should be the last question, so you can elaborate on that.
Okay, I mean, the course content, everything is all online
Mm,
compared to certain other courses, where you have few PDF files, few videos, that's about it.
mm,
So we went this route because whenever we want to update any topic, lesson, or whatever, it should
mm,
not be that we are editing offline and then mass mailing to everyone, or telling them to come back and pay something more to get the updated content. No. So this was the primary reason to be going the route of what we call a learning management system, where it is online. It is not just, no, nothing is offline. We don't handle any
mm,
files offline. Access is for lifelong. Once you have enrolled, you have access to it. We are not going to recertify you and ask for money, right?
mm,
There are many courses who do that. Every 2 years, you pay them 15K, 30K in name of recertification, because they'll give you a handbook. Okay, this is the updated content, you take it. We are not
mm,
doing that. We are doing everything online. Content edition is again online. Update is online. So to
mm,
approach the course, it's all online. All you need is a
mm,
good internet connection and any device, handheld or desktop.
mm, mm,
So, and as far as time is concerned, self-paced, because, we presumed while drafting the course that anybody who enrolls will always have a primary job to cater to. So that is why this self-paced concept was kept. And if you ask for total time it would take, I mean, if you spend around 1.5 hours or 1 hour per day, then 6 months should be sufficient enough.
So how are the new enrollees handheld? Anup, would you like to talk about the WhatsApp group, the forum, and
Yeah,
everything? The references
yes.
to the course, I think, are very critical.
So once an enrollee joins, first thing is there's a private WhatsApp group where they're included.
Mm,
And then they're also given access to the community where, if there is a very lengthy discussion required, then it is posted on community. When it's a short one-line, two-line answer, then they can be dealt with on WhatsApp. Otherwise, we avoid dealing with WhatsApp discussions much.
mm,
And hand-holding during the course, there are enrollees who are consulting, right? Maybe they're taking easier cases first. They post their report. Nobody is competing with them. Everybody is helping them. All the enrollees are helping each other. And all the mentors, like who have completed the course, Shashi, Arun, there are many. I mean, 51 plus have completed, I think, right now. A few more, 29 would be completing by, I guess, June end. So
mm,
they are all handholding each other. It's a community where people don't see each other as a competitor,
mm,
right? And on community, yes, that access is also there. People can post their queries, their cases, their reports of their clients, and then they are handled. Recipes 2000, nobody can say low carb is boring. Low carb has got no variety because 2000 means all you need is pick up 100 and live your life on that,
mm. I think this
right?
is the biggest support. I think no other course, I don't know, but of this scale and massive scale and grandeur, I would say that you're not only enrolling in the course, but you're being handheld throughout the course and even for lifetime, I would say, because
Yes.
you still get to access the not only the course but the forum access where you have all the experts talking to you, all the support that you want, anything basically. You're also part of the, so it's like an entire it's like such a cocoon world of information, learning, support for our enrollees for life. And not only that, going even a step further to that, you are empowering them with giving them access to the resources, dLife recipes, and all of that, which I think is huge. 1,500 or maybe 2,000. The latest
Yeah,
number
it's
I
close to
think, I
2000
guess,
now.
is
Close to
2,000.
2000.
2,000. Yes, 2,000 original low carb recipes access, just by enrolling into the course and such support. I think that's huge. That's enormous, enormous, and I think that's what makes us very unique and uh, very unique in the world. I think we all value that. So thank you, Anup. Thank you for talking to me. I'll call Shashi on the screen now. We are moving towards our next session.